He throws parties that cost more than most people's homes. He flies in a jet worth more than a skyscraper penthouse. And his mansions, they aren't houses. They are fortresses of glass and marble, guarded like palaces. This is not music money. This is not celebrity money, and this is empire money. Inside the life of P. Diddy, a mogul who turned ambition into untouchable luxury. Sean Combs, known to the world as P. Diddy, is more than an artist. He is a brand, a mogul, a billionaire architect of culture. From producing chart-topping hits in the 1990s to launching fashion labels and liquor empires, Diddy transformed himself from Harlem's streets into one of the wealthiest figures in entertainment history. He is the man behind Bad Boy Records, the force who shaped artists like the notorious B.I.G. and Mary J. Blige. But his genius didn't stop at music. Diddy turned style into commerce with Sean John, turned vodka into an empire with Kirok, and built Revolt TV to control his own media stage. Once crowned hip-hop's first billionaire, his fortune has shifted, now estimated at around $400 million. But wealth alone doesn't define him. His name represents ambition without limits, luxury without restraint, and a lifestyle that commands attention at every turn. This is P. Diddy, the entertainer who became an empire. For P. Diddy, a house is never just a home, it is a statement of dominance. In Los Angeles, his $40 million Holmby Hills estate spreads across 17,000 square feet, a glass and marble fortress with a wine cellar, a lagoon-style pool, and space designed not just for living but for hosting royalty. In Miami, his waterfront villa comes complete with a private dock where million-dollar yachts rest quietly like toys waiting for their master. And in the Hamptons, his summer retreats became the stage for legendary gatherings where celebrities, politicians, and billionaires moved under one roof. Each mansion is more than real estate. Each is a crown jewel in his empire, a reminder that P. Diddy does not just buy property, he collects palaces. For most, flying is routine. For P. Diddy, flying is royalty in motion. His private jet is not transportation, it is a floating palace. A Gulfstream built for speed, silence, and supremacy, leather interiors stitched by hand, champagne on standby, and enough room to turn the skies into his personal lounge. This is how a mogul moves. No lines, no delays, no limits. A jet worth more than skyscraper penthouses, fueled by the one currency billionaires value most: time. Because for Diddy, the ground is for business, but the sky is for kings. When P. Diddy arrives, it isn't just an entrance, it's a performance. His garage is a gallery of mechanical royalty, a Rolls-Royce Phantom, handcrafted like a moving fortress, where silence feels louder than any engine. A Maybach 57S, custom-tuned for discretion, where leather seats rival five-star hotel suites. Lamborghinis and Ferraris tuned for spectacle, machines that roar like thunder across city streets, their price tags climbing past $500,000 each. And it doesn't stop there. Bentleys, Escalades, and limited edition sports cars line up like soldiers in a billionaire's parade. Every car is selected with purpose: the Phantom for prestige, the Maybach for diplomacy, the Lamborghini for spectacle. Each is a weapon in his arsenal of image. To P. Diddy, cars are not transportation, they are symbols of presence. They announce wealth louder than headlines, prestige louder than words. And when the fleet rolls, the streets don't just see a man, they see an empire in motion. For P. Diddy, clothing is not fabric, it is armor. In the late 1990s, he launched Sean John, a fashion label that transformed hip-hop style from the streets into the runways of New York. Baggy jeans, fur coats, tailored suits, Sean John blurred the line between street culture and high fashion, becoming a billion-dollar brand at its peak. It was not just clothing, it was identity, a statement that hip-hop had arrived in boardrooms and on Wall Street. And then came the accessories. Diamond watches from Rolex and Patek Philippe, glittering with stones that catch light like chandeliers, chains carved in platinum, pendants dripping with carats worth more than luxury cars. Custom-tailored Italian suits designed not for subtlety, but for dominion. For Diddy, fashion was never vanity, it was a weapon of perception. Every suit, every chain, every look reinforced a single message: wealth is not to be hidden, it is to be performed. Sean John wasn't just a label, it was his legacy stitched into fabric, his influence woven into every thread. Fashion gave him what music could not: permanence. Because while a song fades when the radio stops, a style can rewrite an entire era. Music made him famous, but business made him untouchable. The cornerstone is Ciroc vodka. In 2007, Diddy partnered with Diageo to rebrand a struggling liquor into a cultural phenomenon. Through sheer marketing genius, he turned Ciroc into the champagne of nightlife, a bottle that became a symbol of status. Today, that partnership generates tens of millions annually, cementing Diddy not as an endorser, but as a kingpin of spirits. Then came Revolt TV, his own media network. Created not to chase culture, but to control it. Through Revolt, Diddy positioned himself as more than an artist. He became the gatekeeper of sound, image, and influence. Add to this his fashion empire with Sean John, his record label Bad Boy Entertainment, and countless real estate holdings. Each business is a spoke in a wheel of power, designed to keep the empire spinning, even when the music fades. Unlike other celebrities, Diddy did not rely on one revenue stream. He built a portfolio of influence: liquor, fashion, music, television, industries that feed off each other, each amplifying the next. For him, the empire is not about chasing trends, it is about owning them. For most, a party is entertainment. For Diddy, a party is a stage of dominance. His white parties in the Hamptons became legend. Every guest dressed in white silk and linen, champagne fountains flowing like waterfalls, and tables stacked with caviar. Celebrities, CEOs, politicians, and billionaires gathered under one roof, not for music, not for food, but for the symbolism. Because when Diddy hosted, it wasn't a party. It was a summit of power. Every detail was curated to display control. Private security guarded the gates. Exclusive guest lists read like a Forbes index. Even the smallest detail, from the floral arrangements to the midnight fireworks, whispered one message: luxury without limits. These weren't just parties, they were cultural events, moments when entertainment, fashion, business, and politics collided in a single night. Moments that crowned Diddy not only as an entertainer, but as a kingmaker. In those nights of silk and champagne, Sean Combs proved something simple. Wealth can be displayed in numbers, but true power is displayed in gatherings. The champagne fountains, the silk suits, the fireworks that lit up the Hampton sky. For decades, P. Diddy's parties symbolized power, moments when culture itself bent around his orbit. But behind the glow of those nights, shadows were forming, because while the world saw the mogul of music and luxury, the headlines soon began to tell a very different story. What began as mentorship turned into scandal. Clips resurfaced of a teenage Justin Bieber, jokingly introduced as spending 48 hours with Puff. Innocent words then, unsettling optics now. As Diddy's trial loomed, speculation swelled, and Bieber was forced to clarify. He was never harmed, never a victim, though he acknowledged others were. A statement that closed the door for him but opened a floodgate of questions for Diddy. Then came the courtroom. September 2024. Indicted on charges of sex trafficking, racketeering, and prostitution-related offenses. May 2025. The trial begins in Manhattan. July 2025. A split verdict. Diddy was acquitted of sex trafficking and racketeering, but convicted on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. The fallout was immediate. Macy's severed ties with Sean John. Revolt TV stripped his chairmanship. Howard University revoked his honorary degree. Keys to the city were reclaimed. Diddy Day was erased from calendars. Streaming platforms saw his music drop by up to 88%, playlists erased his name, and cultural spaces once eager to honor him turned cold. His fortune, once pushing $1 billion, now sits closer to $400 million. Still immense, but scarred by lawsuits, revoked deals, and reputational collapse. For a man who built his empire on image, the erosion of that image may prove more costly than the verdict itself. The mogul who once threw the most legendary parties in America now stands at the center of a trial that could erase his legacy. Proof that in the empire of luxury, even kings can fall.